Welcome to another vintage. This week we take on the Jets in London. They've actually played the Jets more than you think. It's 1 second. Yeah, so they've actually played the Jets more than you think they have, seeing how they're an AFC team. But unfortunately the Jets do hold the all-time series record, but sorry, my dogs are aggravating. All right, but we'll get into it.
Vikings, let's win this game. Score Vikings, honor in your name. Go get that first down, then get a touchdown. Rock 'em, sock 'em, fight, 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 fight. Go Vikings, run out the score. You'll hear us yell for more. V-I-K-I-N-G-S. Score Vikings, let's go.
Yeah, so pretty rich history against the Jets, Tony. What you think?
Oh yeah, it's they were one of the first AFC teams we faced in the regular season. The funny thing about that is, as many times as the Vikings played the Jets, the most famous Jet, of course, is Joe Namath. The Vikings only faced Joe Namath one time, and that was in 1975. And Namath,
I know the first time they played the Jets won was a 70, I think. The Jets weren't very good.
It was 1970. Jets won 20-10. The starting quarterback for the Jets was Al Woodall because Namath was out with an injury, of course. And they had a guy named George Knock who ran for 100 and some odd yards on the Viking defense. And that was probably the difference in the game. The game was the Vikings were still in it. They just did not have no offense that game. For those that are curious, there is a game of the week on YouTube that shows that game. It was played at Shea Stadium. And if you look real closely, and if you're a football strategist, you'll notice that for a big part of that game, from the highlights I saw, the Vikings were playing a 3-4 defense. I don't know what happened to Gary Larson. I don't know if Gary got hurt or anything, but they played a 3-4 defense quite a bit that game with Alan Page playing nose tackle. That I did notice, but that was 70. And then we played the Jets again in 75. We beat them 29-21. There's highlights of that game on YouTube. So that was the John Riggins and Chuck Foreman game. Riggins basically almost beat the Vikings single-handedly by himself. And then Chuck Foreman showed why he ended up being Offensive Player of the Year. And the difference was the Vikings blocked a punt and it rolled out of the end zone for 2 points, which were a big difference in the game. But that was in 75. And I think at that time, that was the Vikings' fourth game of the year. And I think they ended up they were 4-0 at that point. And let's see, the next time we played the Jets, I believe, was 1979. And that was on Monday Night Football. The Vikings had 3 costly turnovers at the worst times. And they lost that game 14-7. Let's see. Then we played them in 82.
So the all-time series is 8-4.
Yeah.
And the Vikings have won 3 in a row.
Yep. We played them in 82. We lost to them. That's when the Jets had the New York Sack Exchange. We lost 42-14. That's how good they were. And let's see. The next time we played the Jets
was 94.
When was it?
94.
So there was a 10-year break between then?
Yeah, so 70. Like you said, the Jets won 2010, 75,
Yeah.
29, 21 Minnesota. And they met again in 79. That
Yeah,
was the
14-7. That was the Monday night game.
14-7. And then the 42-14, like you said,
Mhm.
that was week 16. 1980,
Strike.
1982.
It was a strike shortened year. It was weak.
And then 94, 94 they met again, 31-21.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was quite the break in between.
Yep. But then they played 3 years later, 33 Jets, 33-21. Then 02 they played again, 20-7 Jets. Then 06 they played again, 26-13. And then 2010, that was the Moss in the rain, Favre in the rain game.
Monday night game, yeah.
Yeah, they lost that 29-20. And then the Vikings have won the last three, 30-24 in 14, and then in 18, 37-17, and then and then 2022, 27-22. Now that one in 04 and one in 14, that was a Jarius Wright catch in overtime.
Yep, that was a Jarius Wright. And then the one in 17 was Sam Darnold playing quarterback for the Jets.
It was 37-17, and then
Yeah.
27-22 last time they met.
Yeah. It was closer than it should have been. Yeah, that was closer than it should have been.
Yeah.
Um,
So the last 10 games, the Vikings are 3-7. So,
and technically, the Vikings have only played 2 games in New York.
let me see. At New York, the first time they met in 70 was at New York.
In 79.
And then 79 was at New York.
Shea Stadium, and then everything else has been in Jersey.
New Jersey, right? Yeah. Because 97 was probably the Meadowlands, and then 02 was the Meadowlands, and then 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean it's we haven't met each other that much. Also for historical purposes, one of the reasons Fran Tarkenton wanted to go to the Giants was because he wanted to take eyes off of Joe Namath with the Jets.
Because that's what the commissioner wants.
Because that's what the commissioner wanted. So and Fran's ego was he figured he could go to New York and not only take eyes off of Namath, but turn the Giants into a winner, and just didn't happen. That's a good question, Mom, because we just played over in London
2 years ago against the Saints.
2 years ago, and we won. We played New Orleans, and New Orleans had a chance. I think they had a chance to either win it or tie it, but the kick hit the upright.
Yeah, the kicker kicked the two, it bounced twice off the upright.
Yeah, it bounced twice off the upright and was no good. But I mean, we didn't need to go back over there again. I'm not a fan of overseas games. I think the NFL could have these games here in the States.
Why not have them in a place that doesn't have a team?
Right. Have them in the States, especially now you're flying over to Europe. The only reason they go over there is for gambling. Bottom line. That's all that is. You're only going to get football to grow in certain areas, and over there, football is a niche sport. It's American football, but they have their own football, which is 10 times bigger than the NFL will ever be. So, but this is Roger Goodell's. I'm going to pimp out this shield and make as much money as I can. NFL. These owners are all they doing is just pimping out the shield. That's all.
Technically, the Vikings have never lost. I gotta keep my salad over here because my dogs.
No, they never lost in London.
You can't chew salad. You don't have the molars. You only have canine teeth. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So they've technically never lost over there. From what I understand, the Vikings are out, leaving tomorrow.
So they'll leave tomorrow. It's like and
they'll get there Friday.
Yeah, it's a 7-hour, 55-minute flight. What time are they leaving?
I don't know. I don't know. I imagine it probably wouldn't be. I don't know. They said that they'd get there Friday, so maybe they're leaving Thursday. Thursday night. I don't know.
Then they must be getting there around midnight London time. It's like
But
it's like a 7 or 8 hour difference.
number 87 is practicing Friday.
Yeah, he's gonna practice. Is he making a trip?
Yeah, he's going over there.
Okay, so he'll practice
I
over
don't know
there.
if he's going to play, but he's definitely going over there.
No, he's not playing. He's still on IR. He can't come back yet.
Well, no, this is the 5th week. They started the 21-day process.
They started the process. I think he comes back the 6th week, which is the bye week.
So
Reisner's not coming back yet, so they're gonna.
I heard that they may just activate him and then give him an injury settlement, and that'll be the end of it.
I've heard that too. I think they keep him. I think they keep him unless they're happy with Feeney and Quisenberry. But see, with the Vikings' luck, they'll let him go, right? And then one of the linemen will get hurt. That would just be our luck.
Let's say like Rouse.
Right. So I'd actually hang on to him and see what happens. Well, here's the real question, and this just came up today because Aaron Rodgers has a swollen knee, and it's to the point that he might not even play on Sunday.
He was limited in practice all week.
Yeah, he might not even play. And the thing with flying 7 hours, actually 7 hours in an altitude, you change altitude, it can affect the knee.
I mean, they're not like us to where they're cramped,
right
in a space. They actually have room, but
still, though, you're in the air for altitude and everything.
Yeah,
and that can change. And so he might not even. I mean, if the knee is bad, and here's the thing: now, once they play the Vikings, they got to play the Bills after that. So I think if you're Robert Saleh, you're kind of like, do I want to take a chance against this Viking pass rush? Because I'll tell you what, the Viking team you saw in the second half of that Packer game, you're not going to see Sunday.
Well, that was, I mean, as much as we like to, when you get up 28-0, and then you have that muff punt, the Packers get a little bit of a momentum going. You still kind of, it's hard to, keep
focused,
being
a little passive. What really hurt us though, because remember we opened up the second half, the Vikings were driving for another score,
right?
And they would have got it, except they gave them that interception that was technically an incomplete pass.
Yeah, it was not an interception.
That was not an interception. And like I said, that referee crew's like the geriatric crew, because them old dudes should not have been out there.
No,
should not have been out there. But you're not going to see. And you hear from Grenard, they took it as a loss. They won, but they took it as a loss. And Brian Flores was on their asses at practice, so they're not gonna play like they did that second half in Green Bay. So that's a good thing.
And I think they're still not getting respect. So,
they're not gonna get it. They're not gonna get it. National media, especially.
Everybody's talking about how, look how good Detroit looked. Well, Detroit was also playing a team where every starting defensive lineman for the Seahawks defense was hurt.
Yeah, there was no pass rush.
So yeah, they were able to do what
they were still in a game. They were still in a game.
Yeah.
They had to win with gadget plays, and
their defense can't stop anybody.
No. I mean, I'm just like Detroit. Like I said before, Detroit does not scare me. One bit.
Yeah.
They
So
do not scare me.
but it's I mean, Aaron Rodgers' history against NFC North opponents is pretty good, but that's like a team thing.
Here's the thing, though. That record was good back in the 2010s. It's 2024, and Aaron Rodgers is not the same guy.
No, he can't move.
No, he can't
And
move.
his knee is hurt, and he can't move now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
We need to stop with this assumption that Aaron Rodgers is this bad man that Stephen A. Smith calls him. He's not. He's now a really old man, and he can be beat. Aaron Rodgers doesn't scare me at all. If anybody should be scared, it's Aaron. Because his offensive line is garbage.
mhm.
And you're going to sit back there and if Flores unleashes hell like he did the first 3 weeks of the season on these guys, and in the first half, like against the Packers, if he unleashes that on Sunday, we're going to see Tyrod Taylor playing. We might see Tyrod Taylor playing anyway.
Yeah, he was sacked 5 times against the Broncos.
And it's the Broncos, and
So,
they were at home.
yeah.
And don't give me this excuse. Oh, it was raining. Aaron had to deal with the rain. Aaron had to play in the snow in freaking Green Bay. Jesus.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's his cadence, though, remember?
What about his cadence?
That's the reason why they had 5 false starts, his cadence.
Oh, the Jets?
Yeah.
No, they had 5 false starts because their tackles are idiots.
I'm just saying this, but the coach said it's the cadence.
Well, that's where the finger pointing starts.
Yeah.
And it's basically when it comes to the offense, it's Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett.
Well, hey, by the way, the Vikings personnel people who wanted Nathaniel Hackett, please keep them away from making any decisions like that for the organization.
Hackett was the coach in Denver, right?
Yes. And that's the one when he got fired. Remember, he was the one who was. That's who they wanted to hire instead of KOC.
Remember the same ones that wanted Hackett didn't want Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And didn't want KOC. They love Nathaniel Hackett. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's but so then thankfully we got because you and I have been critical of KOC, but I think he's definitely different this year.
He's changed his coaching approach.
So
he's coaching the way I wanted him to coach. He's not. That's why when I brought up last week, was there somebody in his ear those first 2 years? Because this is completely different. Completely different. And also, I'm just going to put it out there. He doesn't have the albatross. The team doesn't have the albatross around their neck at the quarterback position that they've had the last 6 years. And you know who that is. So that all helps too. It's just you get a different feel with this team. And I probably haven't had a feeling this good about a Viking team since probably the 70s, to be honest.
Which is when they had trouble beating the Jets.
Well, I only played them 3 times.
My darn dogs. Sorry.
Yeah, they only played them 3 times. So, Schofield, I did not have a good feeling about 2009 because I wasn't a Brett Favre fan. I figured he was a hired gun, and whatever happens, happens. It was a good ride, but I didn't have the best feeling about it.
Oh, it was all well and good until the end there. So
yeah, and then it all went to hell. But and then here's the thing: after the Jets won the Super Bowl, the Jets kind of fell apart because Joe Namath couldn't stay healthy. And when Joe Namath couldn't stay healthy, that was the rise of the Vikings, especially the Viking defense. So, but put it this way, Alan Page won the MVP of the league in 1971. But who was still getting the endorsements and the stuff like that? Joe Namath. And it was mostly quarterbacks still getting it. And that's what upset Alan so much.
Yeah, it's just amazing that they lost 7 in a row.
Who did?
The Jets. The Vikings lost 7 in a row to the Jets.
Starting when?
70.
No, we beat them in 75, so it must have been 79.
Sorry, 79. Sorry.
79 all the way up to 2013?
Yeah, 79,
they had our
82,
number.
94, 97, 02, 06, and 2010.
One year we lost. We went for 2 to win it. I think it was 97. We went for 2 to either tie it or win it, and we missed the 2-point conversion. What was the score of the 97 game?
Let's see. 1997 was 23-21.
That's the one. We were trying to tie it, send it in overtime, and we missed the 2-point conversion. So
let's see.
Purple and Gold Bars. If you want to see old highlights of Viking films, Viking games, go to YouTube. They have a few. They got season highlights, and sometimes
you can find almost anything on YouTube.
Yeah, the NFL used to put out a show called NFL Game of the Week, and there are some Viking games on there from back in the day. Another good one is called Pro Football This Week or This Week in Pro Football. One of the two. So there's a lot of, especially if you're new to football and the Vikings, there are some stuff on there. A lot of stuff I remember is off the top of my head, and a lot of it is memory and stats and stuff like that. And being here in the Twin Cities, I remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
So,
but there's you can find it almost anywhere.
mm-hmm.
If you really look, but or you could just watch this show every week.
Right. Yeah. And I'll tell you as much as I know. So, Bob, you know what? We did talk about 75 because the Jets played the Vikings in 75. We did bring up that game. And they
next week is we have a bye week coming up, so
yeah, maybe we'll talk about 75 then. So,
yeah, we could talk about 75. We could talk about something else, but like I said, there's gonna be a lot of. As when we first started this show, as we told you, there's going to be a lot of pain with this show because that's just the Vikings history.
And I can tell you from memory, 75 hurts the most because that was probably the most complete team we had up until that point. Even the players said it. Paul Krause said that was the best team they had. Both sides of the ball. You had 8 or 9 Pro Bowlers. You dominated whoever you played, and don't let people tell you about the schedule being weak and they didn't play anybody competitive. It's like, guess what? You play who you are scheduled to play. You beat them. You don't make the schedule. You just play the games. So, no, we didn't have any injuries in 75. What happened in 75 was the Hail Mary. That's what happened in 75.
The push off.
Yeah, the push off. Because I'll tell you what, if the Vikings win that game, they play the Rams again. They probably beat the Rams again. And then
no guarantee, but they were way more talented than the Rams were that year.
Yeah, the Rams were playing musical quarterbacks then. Rams were also 12-2. They had a really good team. So So if you beat the Rams, you go to the Super Bowl, you're facing Miami, not Miami, but you're facing the Steelers. Now the Steelers rolled into that Super Bowl. Joe Green was hurt. Matter of fact, Joe Green started the game, but he didn't play most of the game. He was hurt. Bradshaw had an injury. I believe Franco Harris was banged up, but I think honestly, probably Minnesota probably beats them in Super Bowl 10 because I don't think you make the. I don't know, Viking coaching staff, but I don't think you make the same mistake twice that you did the year before in the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl was close. We couldn't run the ball. I think they would have remedied that in Super Bowl 10. But yeah, 75 was the Hail Mary. That's the sour note with that year. But
yeah, I don't think anything. I mean, other than like I said, the Jets is one of the few teams that the Vikings don't have a winning record against, and I think I don't think anything ever really in the history has significantly happened. I mean, a lot of times when the Jets and the Vikings have played, the Jets were not the better of the two teams.
Yeah, it was just a regular game.
They just seemed to.
There was never any. Like I said, they only played Joe Namath once. They beat him. They never.
In 1970, the Jets were not very good.
Yeah,
and they won that game. So
yeah. 70, the Jets were 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. Namath didn't play, but they ran the ball on us and beat us. And then
what's his name ran a lot?
George Knock.
Yeah,
George Knock, who I never heard a word out of after that game. I don't even think he made the roster the next year. I could be wrong, but
or before, right?
Yeah.
He's like a Timmy Smith situation.
Yeah, without the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Without the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, in the 70s, I don't think the Jets ever made the playoffs. Now that I think about it, I don't think they made the playoffs in the 70s. They made the playoffs in 69. They lost to the Chiefs in the 69 playoff game. The Chiefs beat them 13-6. And they did not make the playoffs again, I think, until 1981. And then they lost to the Bills. But there was some years with the Jets that they just were not that good, while the Vikings were good.
Well, Jets are one of those teams that the Jets are one of those teams that they have a Super Bowl, but they haven't been good.
They haven't been good since then.
As a franchise.
I tell people the Jets haven't been relevant since Woodstock, the first one. So, and they were heavy underdogs in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know.
So from 70 to 80, they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, they didn't go to the playoffs until 81.
So from 1960 to 1967, they missed the playoffs.
Okay.
Then they won the Super Bowl, and then they lost in the divisional round. So pretty much from 60 to 1980, they made the playoffs twice.
Wow, and then they made it in 81 and 82.
Yep, and then missed the playoffs again 2 years.
Did they went in 85, right?
So 83, 84 they missed, 85, 86 they went.
Okay.
And then 87 to 90 they missed the playoffs again, and then they went in 91, and from 91 to 98 they missed the playoffs. And then from 98 let me see. So 98 they made it. Then 2001 they made it again. 2002. Then they missed in 03. Went back in 04. Missed in 05. Missed back in missed in 05. Went back in 06. Missed in 7 and 8. And then they lost the conference championship in 09.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the conference championship in 2010. And they have not been back since.
So like they'll have a window, then it'll close,
Yeah,
and then they'll get another window and it closes again.
yeah. Think
Wow.
of it. They haven't made the playoffs since 2010.
And that's going to continue because they're not making the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
They're not making the playoffs this year.
So as much as we like to talk about other teams being like other teams like the Lions or whatever being dumpster fires, at least the Lions have made the playoffs.
Yeah, the Jets. And I don't know how that works now, especially with, New York football fans, because both your teams play in Jersey. I know at
Yeah.
one time New York was a Jets town. When they won the Super Bowl, it was a
Well,
Jets.
the thing they used to play at Shea Stadium.
They played at Shea and the Yankees played
Yeah.
it. And Yankee Stadium was a home to the Giants.
Right. So then they both moved to New Jersey, but they're New York is the Jets are talking about building a stadium back in like Manhattan somewhere, but I don't know if I don't know if it's ever going to happen or not, but they're not a very good. This is one of those franchises that's not been a very good franchise, but they have that. Yeah, they just happened to get lucky that one year.
Yeah, their front office has screwed them over.
They win, and then they won that one year. So
Yeah, their front office has screwed them over. Okay, Shaq, the main part of New York cheers for the Giants. Okay.
yeah, I would say this. Well, because most of the people in New York are front runners. That's why most people are Yankee
Right.
fans, not Mets fans.
Yeah. But I guess you got two New York teams that play in another state. I mean,
Yeah,
that's like, that's like having two Minnesota teams playing in Iowa or North or South Dakota. It's not the same. It's
yeah.
how you do it. But yeah, I mean, in all those years the Vikings were good, the Jets were mediocre to bad. And then vice versa. Sometimes both teams are on the same wavelength, but most of the time teams are going in opposite directions, just like this year. These two teams are going in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Well,
And you still got people who are acting like these teams are on the same level. Like the Vikings are only favored by 2.5 points.
I actually, at the beginning of the year, I had the Jets winning this game.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. But after the last 4 weeks, even with the second half we had against the Packers, I don't see.
I think that second half against the Packers is going to turn out to be an anomaly. It's not going to be.
I do too.
It's not going to be the Vikings.
Right. So I think it'll be. I think the Vikings. I actually think the Vikings probably beat on these guys big time. So, yeah, that Jets O-line has got some issues. And they're both at the tackle spots. And Rodgers' mobility is a factor. So, if I'm the Jets, maybe I run the ball more.
Are they going to be able to? Because from what I'm understanding, the Jets are planning on playing our receivers man to man.
Well, they figure they can do it with Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, but then you have Addison, and you also have, Naylor. But they think they can play those.
Their corners aren't that bad.
No, but they can't cover receivers 1-on-1.
Probably not.
And then
Gardner might be able to.
I don't think I don't think Rodgers is going to be able to do what he wants to because of the pressure.
Well, here's the problem with the Vikings, Viking offensive line. Quinnen Williams. Who's going to block him?
Well, I mean, Frank Clark didn't do anything from the Packers, and he usually dominates, but he didn't do anything.
Williams is better than Clark.
I don't know. I mean, we Leonard Williams for the Giants. I mean, Dexter Lawrence from the Giants didn't really dominate either.
Yeah, but you heard his name more than you heard the other guys. I didn't hear Clark's name at all yet.
So I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think. I think they've been holding up pretty well so far.
Well, he's going to be the problem. And then they've got on the edge. I think Anderson is probably just going to be. He's just going to have a quiet game. He's second in sacks with he's
The only guy I think the Vikings are going to attack the edge because the only guy they have is like 245 pounds.
Yeah, everybody's ends are small nowadays.
But so I'm not worried about the running game either. I think the Vikings are going to run in the Jets, even though the Jets quote unquote have talented, they're not running the ball. Brees Hall has struggled this year.
Yeah, they can't. They're not making it
Williams, or I think that's his name, or Garrett Williams, or whatever his name is. He is not syncing up with Rodgers at all. Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, he's complaining about it.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah. So
Salah's not getting along with Rodgers. It looks like.
So this team is definitely dysfunctional right now.
Yeah, and they'll probably get more dysfunctional.
And my question is, where are the Jets better?
None of the above.
So far this year, where are the Jets better? Okay, maybe their cornerbacks are better than the Vikings cornerbacks, but the Vikings cornerbacks are not bad.
No, and it's almost a tie.
Right, and their cornerbacks are not better than the Vikings cornerbacks are better than the Jets receivers. The Vikings receivers are better than they have Sauce Gardner, but you can't. I don't care who you are. You cannot cover Justin Jefferson one-on-one.
They're going to do it.
So Justin Jefferson's going to have a big game. So Darnold's going to. And so the Vikings will be 5-0 going into their bye week. I don't think the Jets are going to beat them, but there's still people. There's still people out there who think this game is going to be close. Some people are picking the Jets, to win this game. And it's just, I don't know if it's because of Sam Darnold, but I don't know.
They're waiting for Dan. They're waiting for the bottom to drop on Sam. I know that much.
Yeah, so I don't know. So far, by the way, the Vikings are not going to go undefeated. I know that they're going to lose. They're going to lose a game somewhere. I don't think this is it, though.
I don't think they lose Sunday, and I don't think they lose to Detroit after the bye. Matter of fact, Detroit's bye is this weekend,
and then they play Dallas.
Then they play Dallas, which that ain't nothing. They should beat Dallas.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't see the Vikings maybe losing a game if everything stays status quo, very few injuries. Not even the Colts. I literally don't see a loss.
Well, like I said, when you look at the rest of the schedule and how they match up with the teams that we play,
we're better than all of them.
But they play at Seattle in December. They're going to lose. They're going to lose a divisional game. Because the Vikings are going to lose a game, you don't expect them to lose. It happens. I mean, I see 13-4 just for that reason.
I'm still sticking with 10-7 because you never know.
I think they're past that.
I honestly think they're past that too. That's just my being safe bet. These teams we're facing after the bye, the Lions, the Rams, the Colts, you could maybe be 2-1 out of that bunch. You maybe fall to the Colts, but that's a home game. I don't think so.
Right.
Maybe the Rams is Thursday night.
Flacco could still be the starter too.
Right. The Rams is a Thursday night game.
The Rams' health is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and they don't have
if the Rams get healthy, they could be. That's one of the losses I have. Is the Rams.
See, I got us beating the Rams.
Because if they get Puka back and they get Cut back, it's a different game.
Puka's not coming back for a minute.
So
you're going to get Cut back, but I mean, he's coming off an injury too, and Stafford's playing hurt.
Well, I don't. Yeah,
And their
because,
offensive line is even worse than the Jets.
because they're playing. So when they come out of the bye, it's the Lions, right?
Yeah.
So then after the
After Lions is the Rams.
after the yeah, it's the Rams. It's a
In
short week.
LA on a
It's a
Thursday
short
night.
week, Thursday night. So there's that. But then the games after the Rams, they're not losing any of those. They're not losing to the Titans. They're not losing to the Colts. They're not losing to the Chicago Bears.
You got the Colts, and then you're on the road for 3 straight weeks.
Yeah,
Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Chicago.
they're not losing to any of those teams, unless it's in Chicago, so weird things do happen when they go to Chicago.
And it's what, November? Yeah, November 24th. That
So
field's going to be garbage.
yeah,
That field's going to be garbage.
yeah.
So, and you don't know which Tennessee team is going to show up either.
I don't care what Tennessee team shows up. They're not losing to Tennessee. Hopkins, the only threat they have is Hopkins, and he may not even be there. They may trade him.
Yeah, true.
So,
And Jacksonville will probably have a new head coach.
mm-hmm.
So,
Jacksonville hasn't even won yet either. So,
I mean, you're going to get. I'll tell you what. If we beaten the Packers and not having to play them till the end of the year, and then if you beat the Lions and not have to play them to the last game of the season, that I actually like that.
that's why I said going into if they beat the Packers, I see 4 losses at the most because they're going to lose to a team you don't expect them to lose to. It could be the Falcons, which I don't want because that's you'll never hear the end of it.
No, I won't.
I
don't think it will be. Although I think Penix will be starting by then.
And then, so I can see them losing. And the reason, now keep in mind, these 4 losses, one of them is probably the last game of the year because the starters aren't playing. A game against Detroit, the last game of the year.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
Because the teams that because the Lions have the first place schedule. The Lions haven't played a lot of rough teams yet.
No.
Like the best team they played so far was Tampa, and they lost to them.
Yep.
So they're unlike the Vikings, whose schedule's getting easier. The Lions' schedule's getting tougher.
Yeah, the Vikings schedule is very favorable.
So if let's say the Cowboys lose Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to be their best game. Probably try to play their best game of the year against the Lions to keep from being pretty much eliminated from playoff contention.
I don't know. I think McCarthy's shtick is running out.
Because the Cowboys could lose Sunday. Because who do they play?
But the Cowboys got
they play somebody good Sunday.
Yeah, they play Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so they could lose Sunday.
Oh, they're losing Sunday.
So if they lose Sunday, they play the Lions, even though Lions are coming off their bye. But if they play, the Cowboys have the capability to play well and beat the Lions.
Where's the Cowboy Lion game? Is that in Detroit or in Dallas?
I think it's in Dallas. Because I think they say the Lions play 2 straight home road games. They play us, and then they play Cowboys and us.
I'll find out in a minute. In Dallas.
Yeah, so the Lions play 2 straight road games.
Yeah, it's in Dallas.
They play Dallas and
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's that Zimmer defense. I wouldn't be shocked if what's his name lights him up. Would not shock me at all.
Well, the thing about Dallas right now, and I think why their defense is going to struggle even more, is because Dexter Lawrence and Micah Parsons are still hurt.
Is Parsons really hurt?
I don't know.
Only thing heard about Parsons is his pocketbook because he ain't been paid yet.
His ego.
Yeah, his ego. He hasn't been paid yet. And also, I don't know how Zimmer's using him on that defense. He used to have the run of the defense. He doesn't have that now.
Right.
He's playing completely different under Zimmer.
But
So
Mike Zimmer's not going to allow him to have the
No.
run of the defense.
no, he'll find that out right away.
Yeah. So
You know.
But yeah. This is technically a home game.
Supposed to be. There's a ton of Viking fans already there, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of Viking fans already there partying.
That's like one thing I would love to. I would love to go over there. You know, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty expensive. But you know,
Especially now, it's going up.
yeah. So it's. I guess the good thing. I mean, am I crazy about the London games? I guess not. But I guess
I'm not crazy about overseas games. Period. You don't have to play over in Europe.
Yeah, I guess the good thing is that if when the Vikings win, you can just enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, you can watch the noon games and not stress or nothing. You already got the W.
Right. So they do play the early game, and then so they leave the same day or do they leave the day after? That's the when soon as the game's over, do they leave that night or because the bye week's the next week, or do they stay till the morning and then leave?
They may stay till Monday morning.
So,
either way, it's a 7-hour trip. It doesn't seem as long going over there as coming back.
Well, it's not as long for the Jets.
No, the Jets are like 6 hours.
Yeah. So,
but we're an hour behind. So,
it is. So, I don't. It's a weird history with the Jets. It's a team you wouldn't think would have the series lead to get, but it's just one of those. I guess it's just one of those weird NFL things.
Well, when the Jets got good, the Vikings were kind of mid. I mean, when they had the New York Sack Exchange, they beat up on the Vikings. So that was 42-14 at the Metrodome.
Right.
You know, so it's the Jets teams were good, the Vikings teams were mid, or the Viking teams would be good and Jets teams would be mid. And, you know, you never had where both teams were bad, except, well, you know, you did 06. And there was drama before that game because Brad Childress cut one of the starting wide receivers for some bullshit reason. I forget which one it was, but he cut him. I think it was
the 2010 game.
Travis Taylor.
The 2010 game
Monday night
was in New York.
Yeah.
It was raining.
Yeah.
Well, did Favre get hurt before or after that game?
After.
So we had Favre and Moss in that game.
Yeah.
That was Moss's last game with the Vikings because
Moss's last game with the Vikings was New England. That was Randy's first game back with the Vikings.
That's right, first game back.
Yep. That was his first game back with the Vikings, and Favre finally got to throw a TD pass to him that counted.
Yeah,
that was the one player that Brett Favre wanted to play with. He wanted to play with Randy Moss. Even when he was a Packer, and he begged the Packers to go get Randy Moss when he was a free agent, and they wouldn't do it.
But back then, the Packers didn't spend on free agency.
No. And really, they still don't.
No, they really don't. No, JJ is not better than Moss.
No, he's not. No. We'll see what happens when his career ends. But
when his career ends, he might be. Right now, he's not. No.
No.
JJ's probably a better route runner. But
Randy's best.
okay, keep in mind, as good as JJ is, Randy Moss was an inch taller, and he was probably
I think it was faster.
he was faster too because JJ ran like a 4.5 40, 4.6 40. Moss was like a 4, like a 4.3 or and but JJ, I mean, there are a lot of similarities to where the one thing that made Moss so great was, well, other than everything, but the one thing that he did was when the ball was in the air, the defensive back didn't know the ball was in the air because Randy would only glance at it, and then at the very last second, he'd put his hands up, and by the time he put his hands up, it was too late for the defender to do anything. JJ kind of does the same thing. We saw it Sunday. Um, so JJ, when it comes to pure route running, JJ is probably better than Randy, but when you have a verb named after you, you're pretty significant.
Well, then to catch that, and I give, put it this way, that catch that the touchdown pass JJ had Sunday. I'm just gonna put it. The former guy doesn't put the ball there.
Well,
He
and
does not
Randy
put that ball
and
there.
Randy wouldn't have caught it the same way JJ would have caught that. Randy probably would have did something like this.
Randy would have probably broke
You
off
know,
the coverage and caught it.
yeah. That catch against Buffalo, Randy makes that catch probably wouldn't have been as dramatic. But to say that Randy wouldn't have made that play, I'm not going to say that. Because Randy, it would have been different. I don't think the catch. I don't think it would have been as close to play as if Randy was there. Randy would have got up higher.
Randy would have got 2 hands on the ball.
Yeah, I think people forget how athletic and how good Randy Moss really was. It was the only person I would compare athletically would be Calvin Johnson, but Calvin Johnson wasn't as fast.
No.
That's what made Randy so special was he was big and he was fast. So don't get me wrong. I love Justin Jefferson. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but we're
I'm
talking
not
about,
knocking him, but he's not. I
yeah,
mean,
we're
Justin
talking
still
about
has a lot
Randy
of
Moss,
football
I
left.
believe the most athletically gifted receiver to ever play the game, and that includes Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson, all those guys.
And Jerry Rice was lucky. Jerry Rice had Young in Montana, mainly
Right.
Montana. So he didn't have, I mean, Randy Moss went through how many different quarterbacks?
Yeah. But not only that, I mean, Randy Moss was so good, Deion Sanders didn't want to play against him. He acted like he was hurt.
Oh, well, then when he finally did play against him, he became a highlight reel himself.
Yeah. It's like that Thanksgiving game when Randy went off. Deion Sanders didn't play that game. He
Sanders all of a sudden
had a back injury. He practiced all week, but when it came game time, he had a back injury.
He
And
played
then the next year,
the Monday night game.
Yeah.
He got mossed.
Yep.
And then in the playoff game, not only did he get mossed, but he also fumbled a punt.
Yeah.
So that was like one of his worst games as a pro.
But then I don't know how good of a. I don't know if Moss ever played the Jets. Except for that one time when he came back from, but in his prime, when Moss was in his prime.
Yeah, I got to answer Bob's question.
See, Bob, I hate
off.
to do this, buddy, but
everybody takes plays off, Bob.
No wide receiver goes 100% every time. And that
first of all, if you played the game, and it don't matter what level you played at, you don't go balls out all the way every single play. You can't. You'll burn yourself out.
Right.
You will take plays off. Pros are no different.
Yeah.
They all do it.
If you watch the all 22, you'll see that when the receivers are away from the play, our running play, they really don't they barely making an effort to block.
Well, the
So
play's not coming to their side because they
yeah,
half-ass it.
yeah. So
It's not coming to their side.
and then that whole comment about I play when I want to play was so taken out of context. It's unbelievable.
We all play
So
when we want to play.
so basically, how that went was there was a reporter saying, "Well, there was a guy on another team. I can't remember what it was, but he's saying, yeah, he's like our coach motivates us, and yeah, those comments that sometimes like the media says or other teams say, yeah, that kind of does it does motivate me a little bit. So they were talking about Randy. They're like, what do you think of those comments? He's like, well, I don't need a coach to tell me to play. I play when I want to play. So basically, you know, he doesn't need motivation. He motivates himself. Could he have said it better? Yeah. But we all know that Randy isn't like the most, when it comes to public speaking. Now he is, now that he's in media. But I don't think that he, at that time.
A young Randy Moss, you should never put a microphone in front
Yeah,
of him.
exactly. So
there are just certain players back in the day you should not put a microphone in front of them.
Yeah. But JJ, you gotta keep in mind though, players nowadays, when they're in college, they're taught how to talk to the media and stuff like that. So they're always going to be better, but they still say dumb things because they're young people.
They got PR training as part of their
Yeah.
What do they do? That's part of what they do. As soon as they're drafted, they have somebody work with them on PR.
So if you listen to and then when they get in the NFL, they even get better because if you listen to a rookie and listen to a guy who's been in the league 4 or 5 years, if you listen to how he answered questions when he was a rookie and how he answers questions in his 4th or 5th year, it's way different.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a maturity thing too.
But
then you got those like Jair Alexander who sounds like mushmouth whenever he talks.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about the Jets uniform? Do you like them or do you like the old white and green ones they used to have?
I like these. I mean, I liked all of their uniforms. You couldn't really go wrong with them. And then the ones they're wearing, they're actually throwbacks too, because they wore those from 78.
O'Brien years, right?
Yeah, those were the.
I mean, the number font's a little bit different, but the uniforms are pretty much the same.
Uniforms are pretty much the same. The helmet is the same. That logo they had for years. They went back to it in, I think, 98.
Well, that was Leon Hess who changed the logo, right?
Yeah, and he did that in 78. Yeah, he did that, and he changed it in 78, and they had that logo up until, well, they always had the logo. Then they incorporated black into the uniform.
Yeah.
So that was late. But they were always like green and white.
That was early 90s, I think, right?
Yep. Matter of fact, Pete Carroll was their head coach. Yeah, Pete Carroll was their head coach. But they were always Kelly green and white. So, yeah, I don't.
Better than those hideous things the Lions wore Monday.
Okay, you know what? I'm just going to put this out there. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Oh, I'm definitely in the minority. A lot of the people like those uniforms, especially the young guys.
The young guys also wear skinny jeans.
And people told me I was hating because it's the Lions. I'm like, no, I like the Lions. Right?
No, it's the design. Here's the thing. You know what really bothered me? And I don't know what this is, and it drives my girl up a wall because I always bring it up. What is it with uniform designers? They can't put stripes on the pants. What is wrong with stripes on the pants?
I don't know. The minimalist look. Because if you think about it,
they don't put stripes on the pants, and they no longer put stripes on the socks.
Because the teams that have traditional uniforms.
Right. If you go back and look at the old school unis, that's why I tell everybody, if you want to see what the uniforms look like, Gridiron Uniform Database, that has a lot of those old uniforms and how they were done. A lot of your socks had stripes, and most of your pants had a stripe down the side of some sort.
Well, so let's go. So the Bills, they have the stripes on their pants, but that's because they wear the uniforms that they wore like back in the 60s and 70s, except for the logo. Um,
Yeah, that logo's from seven. That logo's been like 75 on.
the Dolphins wear a single stripe on their pants.
No, they don't wear any stripe.
Well, the white ones that they wore didn't have any stripes, but
Well, did you notice also they lightened up on the aqua? It's not
yeah,
as dark as it used to be. It's lighter.
yeah. Patriots have stripes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The Jets have stripes.
but yeah, well, no, it's just that single stripe, right?
It's like a double stripe. No, it's a single stripe now. It's a
Yeah.
single stripe now.
But when they wore the ones from the 60s, that had stripes.
Right. Well, thank God they didn't go back
Browns
to the Titan
don't.
uniforms.
Let's see. The Steelers have the single black stripe.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals got the tiger stripes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember if the Browns have stripes.
Yes.
Baltimore doesn't, unless they wear those.
They have the black and purple stripe on their white pants.
Yeah.
And they even have on the black pants, they had a stripe on there. They had
Well, the pants they wore this last week, the black ones,
had
all
no
black,
stripe.
had
They
nothing
look
at
like
all.
you know what? They look like freaking stretch pants for guys.
Yeah.
It was like, give me a break.
And then the Colts, because the Colts have not changed their uniforms forever, they have
Colts
stripes.
haven't changed their uniforms and never.
The Titans don't have stripes.
No, Titans have stripes. It's kind of a half-ass stripe.
Jacksonville, they don't have stripes. Jacksonville's uniforms are very basic.
Yeah, they need to go back to their old school permanently.
They are wearing those one game, but they
need to make those permanent.
And then Texans new uniforms. I don't remember if they have stripes or not.
There's a stripe on them.
But so I guess they do have stripes, but they don't have like the traditional 3 stripe, like the 2 of one color and the other color.
They don't even have like the one solid. It just like
it's like a pinstripe, like I guess.
Well, yeah, like the Lions could have put a stripe on those pants they had Monday night. It's just all black. I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. And first of all, they don't really have black in their color scheme. I know they added it, but like I said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think Nike's kind of going overboard with it because they know people will buy that.
I think it's more of how the helmet looked.
That helmet would have been fine with the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helmet would have been fine with the blue. If you take the black off of that helmet and you put it with the blue, like the traditional Lions uniform, that would look good. That would.
But Friday we'll be doing the our predictions, score predictions, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll have a better. We'll also have a better picture of who's going to play on it because right now there's a lot of news swirling around for the Jets. Yeah. 2 things. One, Aaron Rodgers has a swollen knee, and I think it's worse than they said. So we don't even know if he's going to play. Yeah. 2, I read a report on Twitter that basically the deal is done. That Devontae Adams is going to the Jets. It's just working out the draft picks.
And that will be this week, though.
No. But they say it's a done deal. So we'll see what happens. But, if you notice, it's kind of nice this year. The Vikings don't have a lot of other BS affecting the team.
No, they're probably one of the cleanest teams.
Right now, yeah.
They
are. It's and just last year.
Wait, think about the Jets mess.
Oh, my God.
They brought in Aaron Rodgers on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Hackett. They made everything. They've made everything that Rodgers wanted on this team. So why are they struggling so much in the offense?
There's probably a disconnect somewhere, and that starts probably with the coach.
There's got to be something.
And I'll tell you what, when a lot of them players that are divas in the locker room and shit, they cause a problem in the locker room, and it's a rift that the whole team, it affects the whole team. So
Well, you've seen that with Stephon Diggs. He's on his third team because he's such a diva.
right. Oh, did you see his interview?
No.
The reason he wanted out of Minnesota was because he didn't want to be a number 2 because Thielen was number 1. And he said, I knew I could be a number 1. So that's why he wanted out.
I wouldn't say it was more of a 1A, 1B type of situation. It wasn't Thielen's a definite 1.
Well, Thielen was technically the 1. Diggs was the 2, but Diggs got more passes. But that's also because of Kirk. You notice he's the first one that hasn't thrown Kirk under the bus. At least Diggs hasn't yet.
Diggs has never thrown Kirk Cousins under the bus.
No.
Ever.
Yep.
People like to say Cousins is the reason he left. No, Cousins was not the reason he left. He pretty much said that.
Yeah, but everybody else, I mean, well, what's his name was vocal about Cousins by not being vocal about Cousins. That was Kyle Rudolph, especially when he retired. You knew what the problem was. But like I said before, the difference between this team and those teams before is the albatross at the quarterback position is gone from the neck of the team.
Yeah. And then this team just like I think the chemistry on this team, I think they learned a lot from that Donatel year. With the chemistry.
And also keep in mind, I don't know if Donatel was even KOC's hire.
Right.
I think I have to look into it, but from what I was told, KLC always wanted to just coach the offense. He wanted to leave the defense in competent hands, and he thought he had it with Donatel, and God knows he didn't. But also, now this is where you can blame the Vikings front office on this because they were determined to prove a point that the problem with the team was the former regime, which was Zimmer and Spielman. And so them by them going 13-4, proved their point.
I mean, but I don't know if they really wanted to get rid of Spielman. They had to get rid of Spielman, but I don't know if they wanted to.
No, they wanted to. He had bad drafts
because it got so bad in the locker room that not even in the locker room, but
Zimmer and
Spielman weren't even communicating.
No, and I think the Wilfs just wanted to clean house, and plus also,
I don't think Spielman's drafts were that bad. He couldn't find a quarterback, but I don't think his drafts overall were that bad. There's still players on the team.
He did terrible on the offensive line. Outside of Darisaw and O'Neal, he did terrible on the offensive line.
Yeah, but there's other players who are still on the team. Other like Zimmer's guys are pretty much gone though.
I think Patrick Jones is one of his guys.
So, Harrison Smith, obviously. Dalvin Cook was good when he was here.
Mm-hmm.
Stephon Diggs was one of his picks. Thielen was a free agent pickup. So, other than offensive linemen, like you said, other than Darisaw but Spielman was here a long time.
He was here too long.
So I don't think Zimmer and Spielman, because Spielman was here before Zimmer. I don't think they ever had the relationship that Kwesi and KOC have. And the one thing I will say about Kwesi is that you could tell he learns from his mistakes. Like he knows his first draft was shit. And look at the improvements and stuff that he's made. I think he realizes that maybe you just can't get everything through the draft and you have to sign free agents,
He also didn't have the means to sign free agents. He had the albatross around his neck at quarterback.
Yeah, but he still signed free agents that contributed, though, even with that.
Well, the biggest thing the biggest thing this team had to do, period, was get rid of the albatross. That was a problem.
So my question was, so whose decision was it to extend Cousins those last 2 years?
That was Wilf. The Wilfs. That was the Wilfs. Yep.
Because this offense looks way different without Cousins in it.
Yeah, it's much better.
Which is saying something because Cousins actually played pretty well, stat-wise and stuff like that.
But technically, though, Cousins is limited with what he can do.
He's very limited. That falls on Cousins, though. I think
that falls on Cousins. But it reflects on KOC because maybe KOC wants to run certain plays and Kirk can't run them.
Yeah.
Also, look at Atlanta.
Well, here's the thing. All we heard was Cousins can't primetime Cousins, right? When he played for Minnesota. Everybody's picking the Falcons tomorrow.
I'm picking the Falcons.
So is it Kirk can't play in primetime or can he play in primetime?
No, Kirk can't play in primetime.
So, because we know the Buccaneers defense is better than the Falcons defense. What have you seen from the Falcons that says to you that they can beat the Buccaneers right now?
I'm putting it all on Raheem Morris.
I don't know because they have how many top 10 picks?
Who, the Falcons?
Yeah,
and they're still not getting.
And they're not using them. So I mean,
yeah. If you've got, put it this way, if you're a fantasy football player and you've got any Falcons in your starting lineup, bench them because they're not going to. I mean,
except for Algiers.
How long did it take Cousins to find Drake London in that Eagles game?
Last play of the game.
And Bijan, he's got Bijan, but Algiers getting all the carries. He's getting all the positive yards. Kirk cannot get them in the end zone, which luckily they got Younghoe Koo to make field goals. But they've got to start scoring some touchdowns.
I don't think they scored a touchdown last week, did they?
They won and didn't score a touchdown. Their defense and special teams scored the touchdowns. So they've got, and that's why I'm saying right now, by the time the Falcons play us in December, we're not playing Kirk. We're playing Penix.
I know they're paying Cousins all that money.
But if you're in a playoff hunt and Cousins ain't getting you, here's another thing too. Morris and that GM did not want Kirk Cousins. Arthur Blank signed Kirk Cousins knowing that Kirk Cousins was not fully healed from the Achilles injury. He signed him anyway. So what do? You've already put your head coach and your GM in an awkward spot. So
I still don't even know if Cousins is fully healthy.
He's not fully healthy. He's not. And now their offensive line's beat up too. They were down to their third string center. I think somebody had to get off the street.
Oh, was he going to go to is he going to go to a playoff game? Is he going to watch his old team in the playoffs?
Yeah, he's buying a ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be at US Bank Stadium.
Maybe he'll blow the horn again. Falcons aren't winning that division.
Right now, it looks like Tampa Bay could be the team to win it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
they may not even finish second. Depends what the.
I'm going to be. That's why I'm telling you, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Kirk is one and done in Atlanta.
Then he's going to have to realize he's going to be a backup after that.
But here's the thing, Raheem Morris coaching job future is on the line, and unfortunately, he got stuck with Kirk Cousins. Not at his choosing. That was the owner's choosing. So I mean, if and Raheem wants to win, he can't win with Kirk. I don't care
Oh,
what everybody says. Oh, Kirk, you can win with Kirk. No, you can't.
so what are they? They're 2-2, right?
Yeah, they're 2-2, and they score like one TD a game.
So they could be. They're close to being 4-0, but they're also close to being 0-4, right?
Yeah,
So, uh, uh, hmm,
but it's still early, in the
yeah.
season. I mean, we're 4-0. We could easily be 0-4, 1-3. But you just look at Kirk, and it's the same Kirk.
Well, I think we win. I think we still might be. We might be three. I don't know if we're four. We're not 4-0. Cousins quarterback. It might be 3-1.
I think we're
But
2-2.
but it's hard to say because how does he play? Does he play? Does he play good enough to be 34-7 over the Texans, or
Does he play
like
good
those three
enough?
plays, like those three throws that Sam Darnold made against the Packers to get him into field goal range. The two to Justin Jefferson, and then the third one to what was it, Johnny Munt on
Mm-hmm.
that drive to
Mm-hmm.
get him into field goal range. Does Cousins make those throws?
Probably not.
That's the thing. And people talk about Sam Darnold. Oh, he should have had the first throw, the one throw. He should have been picked off by the linebacker, but it wasn't. But at least does he take the chance? That's another
That's
thing,
the biggest one. And that I'll tell you what, Sam takes chances that Kirk wouldn't.
right? And against
And
the
right now,
defense,
if you watch an Atlanta game,
shut up.
what is Kirk's biggest problem? That he's same one he had here in Minnesota. He hangs onto the ball.
Well, he wasn't mobile before his injury,
No,
and his
no,
injury now, he's definitely not running. Even with Darnold supposedly has like a sore knee, he still ran the ball.
right.
I mean, how many
We're
drives
gonna
he
have to
kept?
watch that too. I don't know exactly what's wrong with his knee, but hopefully it doesn't flare up on the way over there.
Yeah,
That's a possibility. Um, Got to watch that. You got to be
but lucky we
careful.
got the bye week after this Jets game, so they whatever issue he does have, maybe they can resolve that.
Yeah.
But they were talking about the snaps, for the corners, how Griffin, um, Gilmore, and Murphy, like all have 100 and like have more like almost 200 snaps, and then the next guy has 8 snaps.
Who's that, Moreau?
No, McCain got 8 snaps in the first game of the year.
Moreau hasn't been on the
And
field
then and
either.
then and then Caleb Evans has got 3 snaps. That's it. No other cornerback has snaps.
So they
But
signed Moreau, and he's only on special teams.
so with the games that they're playing, they need to games coming up. If they're up by 2 touchdowns, maybe they take Stephon Gilmore off the field for a series to get him some rest. Or takes because Stephon Gilmore is old, and the last thing you want is for his age to catch up with him. So
Right.
play the younger guys for a couple series. I think everything is status quo this game. I think they keep playing the same way they've been playing this week.
I think they turn up the heat more as far as pass rush. I think they turn it up much more
Yeah.
than they did Sunday.
It's the offensive line for the Jets is not good.
It's bad. It's bad.
It is not good at all.
Yeah, it's not good at all.
So
I mean, if you thought Grenard could get 3 sacks on Tunsil, he's going to get another 3 this Sunday.
Tunsil's world class compared to the Jets offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, the one that could, if he's healthy now, the one that could be the one making an impact is Dallas Turner. Van Ginkel and Grenard are going to get pressure. Patrick Jones is going to get pressure. It
We
could,
all know Blake Cashman leads the team in tackles.
yeah. It could be if the Vikings played the type of football they've been playing this year, minus the second half, it could be ugly real quick in London on the Vikings side. That Jets team is it's not very good.
Yeah,
It's not very good at all.
I mean, the thing that might affect the game more than anything is the turf.
Yeah, they play on grass.
So that could affect the game because the field, usually the soccer fields aren't made
They're
for
not made
300-pound men.
Nope.
So, fast 300-pound men. So they usually the field for soccer is not very good for American football. So that may play a part. I can see the couple receivers maybe slipping,
Hopefully
But-
nobody gets hurt like Lewis Seen did.
Yeah.
We were over there. But we'll see. You want to win the game, but you want to get out of there with no major injuries. That's the biggest one.
Yeah, and that's the biggest concern about going over to London is the turf. It always is. It's not the jet
I
lag
don't
because I think teams have got that down as far as the travel.
The travel's no problem, but we've been over there now 2 years in a row. And here's the thing now. It's supposed to be a home game for us. So guess what? Guess who you're taking money from?
Yeah.
US Bank Stadium. It's like that's a gate. Those are gate proceeds that you could have sold out Minneapolis again.
Well, it could have been 3 home straight. It's technically 3 straight home games, but
yeah.
Well, 2. I mean, sorry, 3 out of 4, but
yeah, it just is. I know why they go to England. A lot of it's got to do with gambling. But you don't need to go over there.
Yeah.
There are certain places. Don't go to England. You don't need to go to Europe, especially with the climate the way it is nowadays. Don't put your employees in situations.
So Friday we have the typical Friday free for all. So basically, what's going to happen on Friday is what we always do is we'll talk about the game. We'll have more clear cut, precise. We'll have more information for an injury report on that show. We'll make our predictions. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, the prediction is going to be way different than if he's not. Like I said, he's got a sore knee, so we don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so Friday night it's the free for all. Talk about whatever you want, and then we'll be doing at least I will. I don't know if Tony's going to join me or not, but I'll be doing the play-by-play like I did last week. I'm sure I don't know who's going to join me, but
I'm usually not on them because I watch the games with Trisha in California. Right. So I watch the games with.
But that's going to be a 6:00 start for her.
Yeah, 6:30. Yeah, 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, she can take a nap afterwards.
That's probably what I'm doing.
Yeah. So Vikings and Jets, they don't really have a long history. It's kind of a weird history.
It's very sporadic.
Next week is the bye week. We could do the 75 show, but as of right now, but we may do a quick review of we could also do Vikings records traditional bye and how they come out of the bye, stuff like that. But we haven't done the 75 season yet, so that's a distinct possibility.
That's one of my favorite seasons also. So,
but I don't know if I want to do the 75 season and they're in the middle of this season because this season's going so well, and I don't want to bring us down. So.
Well, you're gonna have to talk about it eventually.
Maybe in the off season after we got the Lombardi Trophy in the trophy case, it wouldn't matter.
I'm just going one game at a time.
So
I've learned.
I'm just saying, yeah.
I'm just doing one game at a time, 1 week at a time. Take it from there.
Yeah. So we would like to thank everybody for joining us as usual. So we'll definitely be back on Friday. We like to have you guys join us on Friday because we actually opened it up to have you guys come on. So we can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody.
And we'll see you guys Friday.
Vikings, let's win this game. Score Vikings on a relay. Go get that first down, then get a touchdown. Rock 'em, sock 'em, fight, 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 fight. Go Vikings, run out the score. You hear us yell